It is feeding day in the tree monitor building, and today I'm going to show you guys exactly how I feed and what I feed my animals. Let's check it out. Your peak activity times for your tree monitor should usually be within that hour of the lights first coming on in the day, and they generally are done by late afternoon, about 2 to 3 o'clock. Your animals should kind of be hunkered down for the rest of the day. I highly recommend you feeding earlier in the day because that is their peak activity times. Otherwise, you run the risk of your prey item not getting eaten until the following day. I go heavy on insects for the majority of my tree monitor's diet. That includes crickets, dubia roaches, and you can also offer superworms. In between my feedings of insects, I also lean heavily into day-old quail, and occasionally we'll use mice, especially if I have a picky feeder. In this case, I have a hopper. Scrambled eggs can also be used and mixed into your diet. In this case, I literally take the eggs, crack them, mix them up, and put them in the microwave. No oils or anything added. On occasion, if I have a picky eater, I will also use ground turkey, and I will make sure that it has nothing added to it. And you can sometimes convert a tricky eater or someone who's new to your collection on some ground turkey as well. Those are the main food items that I use. On every feeding day, with every single item that I use, I always apply a calcium supplement onto my feeders. Usually that is either a calcium with a vitamin D3 or a calcium with no D3 at all. I will alternate between feedings. So if today I'm going to feed with D3, my next feeding in 2 days from now, I will use calcium with no D3. Tree monitors have very sharp teeth and can have very strong feeding responses. If you are feeding a whole prey item and you do have an animal that is more sight oriented, I highly advise using hemostats, long tongs such as these. They help separate your hand from the mouth of the animal and are definitely a necessity in your tree monitor collection. Before you start feeding for your day, it is very important to make sure that you have clean tools. One easy way that I like to sanitize my tools, especially the tip of my tongs here, where the animals can potentially bite and grab, is simply a little hand torch like this. Before I start my feeding off, or if I have an animal that gets really mouthy on this, you can take your torch and just simply blaze the tongs with it to give it a quick sanitization. I really like these feeding rings. They work very well with placing a 32-ounce cup inside, and you can actually screw these right onto the cork panels of your enclosure. These allow you to put your insects in, whole prey items. It's a great way for you to monitor the food intake that your animal is eating. I have these rings available for sale on the website. Hatchlings to adults usually have a little bit different of a diet. For my hatchlings, I always start everything off on crickets, unless it is a picky feeder, in which case I'll chop up pinkies and offer them a little slurry of pinky mice. Sometimes you will have an animal that might not want crickets out the gate, and for that I will use a little pinky. And sometimes it's a good idea because a whole pinky is too much. I will take something like this frozen thawed pinky mouse here, and you can actually just use scissors and cut it up into small little bits, and you can offer these small parts to your baby hatchling tree monitors. I can also try to add in dubia into these animals' diet, but babies usually do not like dubia out the gate. Most of my tree monitors accept crickets right out of the egg. When you buy a box of crickets from your cricket supplier, the insects often do not have the nutrients that your animal needs. So by gut loading your insects before you feed them to your animals, you're ensuring that they have proper vitamins that are inside of them so that your animals can benefit from that nutrition as well. We have control of our crickets and our cockroaches. However, I do not breed my quail or my mice. So when I get in my crickets, I always make sure that I give them a few different things. Number one is organic carrots that I'll actually peel just in case there is any sort of pesticides that might be on the skin. So I'll add my carrot in there. I also like to add a low protein organic rabbit food to both my roach and my cricket bins so that they have something that they can always feed on if need be. I'll also add sweet potato into my enclosures for my crickets to feed on as well. And I find that these three items work very well as a gut load for my animals. I generally like to make sure that I have gut loaded my insects and let them feed on it for 24 hours before I feed it to my animals. Sometimes when I'm feeding, if you manipulate and move the prey item around, it kind of initiates a feeding response for that animal. Once my animals reach adulthood, that's when I start feeding them quail. But each animal is going to have its own preference. They can all of a sudden decide that they no longer want quail, only want insects, only are going to eat roaches. So pay attention to what preference your individual animals have, and you can cater to that. The one thing I try to avoid is if an animal holds out for mice, I try to make sure that they have a more varied diet. If you feed your animal just mice, you're going to notice that it can be very obese, and obese animals are not healthy, and they usually are not good breeders. In terms of your quantity of food items for your animals, I generally go with 1 day-old quail per animal, unless it is a female who's actively breeding and laying eggs. I like to give them 2 of those, or if you were using mice, we'd be doing the same number with that. In terms of the quantity of insects that I feed my adults, for crickets I'm generally around 30 to 60 adult crickets, and for dubia roaches I'm right around 12 to 15 roaches per animal. Again, that's going to depend on the size of your adult that you're feeding, and for roaches you'll want to see how big your individual roaches are in order to determine your number. When feeding hatchlings through 8-month-old animals, normally I'm starting out with about 4 to 5 crickets for hatchlings and then moving it up as that animal gets bigger. I like to use the body cavity of that animal and imagine how many prey items I could comfortably fit in there, and that's generally what I do for my cricket feedings or insect, whether it be crickets, dubia, mealworms, or any other insect items that you're feeding. You do want to be careful with males, as males can get fat and will eat a lot of food. They're not going to be burning through the calories as much as a female who's actively laying eggs. So your females can get more food if you're breeding them versus your males. Sometimes I'll actually skip feeding my males. Generally though, I'm feeding every other day. As you can see, sometimes your animals are bold and do not want to wait for you to get your prey items ready for them. So in this situation, we have a very shy animal, so I'll go ahead and just put the quail, leave it right in there, or I could use my food ledge and cup. Here we have a very bold Varanus macraei, and you can see she just hammers off of the tong. In a situation where you have 2 animals in one cage, you want to have both of your prey items ready very fast. It is not uncommon for once your animal grabs a prey item, for the other to come in very quickly and try to take it away from the other. So in this case, I would have another ready for the female if she was right there. Thank you all for tuning in today, and I hope this feeding video was helpful for you and your animals. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video if you appreciate what we're doing, and I hope to see you guys next time.